Welcome to your daily English dose. Today we're doing a deep dive into something, well, really exciting. Can your favorite music actually be your secret weapon for learning English? Our mission today is pretty simple, to help you transform something you probably already love just listening to music into a really powerful personal English tutor.
That's exactly right. And we're not just talking about, passively listening in the background. It's more about unlocking those hidden English lessons that are already there, embedded in the songs you adore. We're going to look at the science, give you some practical ways to do this, and walk through some real examples. It's all designed to help you, especially if you're a beginner or intermediate learner, feel really motivated and know how to turn listening into active learning.
Okay, so just picture this. What if the key to getting that fluent, natural-sounding English, escaping that kind of robotic or katakana English sound, mate, what if it was as simple as listening to and singing along with your favorite Western songs? Today, we're really going to unpack how powerful that can actually be, right? So we all feel that connection to music, don't we? Often more than just catchy. There seems to be this, almost magical link between music, our feelings, and our memory. And that link, it turns out, directly impacts how we learn languages. Let's maybe pull back the curtain on the science a bit.
Absolutely. There's a whole field, psycholinguistics, which studies how we learn and use language. And the research there is pretty clear. When you tie words to music, your memory for those words gets a significant boost. Learning things that connect emotionally just works way better than, rote memorization. There's a study back in 2008 by Schoen and others showing melodies act like mnemonic devices. They make vocabulary and grammar sort of sticky because they activate the emotion and memory centers in your brain. It kind of bypasses that analytical part of the brain that often causes stress when you're trying to learn something new.
Yeah, and I think that makes so much sense. Haven't you ever noticed that? You can remember lyrics from songs you heard years, even decades ago, but maybe you forget the vocabulary you just studied last week. It really feels like our brains are wired for this.
Precisely. Think about traditional language learning. It often involves a lot of conscious effort, right? Memorizing lists, grammar rules.
Yeah.
That can create stress. And there's this concept from Stephen Krashen, the affective filter. Basically, when you're stressed or anxious, this mental barrier goes up, and it actually blocks new language from getting in properly.
Yeah.
Music, because it's enjoyable and lowers anxiety, helps lower that filter. It puts you in a much more receptive state. That's crucial for really acquiring language. And what's also fascinating is brain research showing that music and language are processed in very similar, deeply intertwined ways right from birth. Some even argue spoken language is kind of like a special form of music itself. So when you learn a phrase through a song you love, you're not just memorizing words, you're encoding an emotional experience, and that really strengthens the neural pathways.
Lowering that affective filter. I love that way of putting it. That's key. And that links perfectly to another huge hurdle for many learners, right? Getting past that katakana English, inserting extra vowels, flattening the rhythm. How does singing specifically become like a secret weapon against that?
This is such a critical point. English is what we call a stress-timed language.
Hmm.
Certain syllables get emphasis, others get squished. Many languages, like Japanese, for example, are syllable timed. Each syllable gets roughly equal time. That difference makes English rhythm really tricky. Singing helps almost automatically. It forces you to abandon that habit of inserting extra vowels, like turning strike, one syllable, into sutoraiku, three syllable.
Uh-huh.
When you have to fit a one-syllable word to just one note in a song, you intuitively start learning the correct pronunciation and the natural flow.
So it's not just about knowing it in your head. It's like physical training,
Yeah.
a mouth exercise almost, like retraining your mouth muscles in your brain for that English rhythm in a way that just reading words on a page can't really do.
Exactly, you nail it. Singing is absolutely a form of physical pronunciation training. It helps build that kinesthetic muscle memory. And honestly, getting the rhythm and the prosody right, the intonation, the stress, the timing, the sort of music of speech, that's often more important for sounding natural and being understood than having every single vowel or consonant sound perfect. Think about consonant clusters, tricky for many learners. Or weak forms, those little unstressed words. Singing gives you a structure. To fit the music, you have to compress function words like of, the, and you naturally start linking sounds together. It's this physical practice that builds the muscle memory you need for fluent, natural-sounding speech.
Something that always puzzled me, and I bet it puzzles a lot of you listening too, is why native speakers can sound so incredibly fast. It's not just pure speed, is it? It feels like words just melt into each other. So if it's not just speed, what are these sort of unwritten rules that make them sound so smooth? Are there patterns we can actually train our ears to catch in songs?
That's a fantastic question, and you've hit on something really crucial. Native speakers absolutely do not pronounce each word clearly and separately like they're written. For fluency, for efficiency, words link together, sounds change, sometimes sounds even disappear completely. This whole phenomenon is what linguists call connected speech. It's the secret sauce to that natural English flow. And music is just perfect for training your ear for this, mainly because of the repetition and the steady beat. When you hear a phrase like rock and roll or Taylor Swift's Shake It Off over and over in a song, your brain actually starts recognizing those sound chunks like ranroll as single units, not separate words. That's a massive step towards automatic listening comprehension. You stop trying to hear every single word.
Ah, okay. That makes so much more sense. So it's not just random slurring or mumbling. These are actual predictable rules. Can you maybe walk us through a few of the most important ones, the ones we should really start listening for in songs?
Definitely. Let's focus on three really key rules that once you start noticing them will make a huge difference in how you hear English. First up is linking, sometimes called catenation. This happens when a word ends in a consonant sound and the next word starts with a vowel sound. They just link up smoothly. Think about shake it off. Again, she doesn't sing shake it off. It sounds much more like shake it off. That K sound links right into it, and the T in it links right into off. It becomes one smooth sound unit.
Right, like it flows together almost like one longer word instead of three separate ones. Got it.
Exactly. Okay, second, assimilation. This is where sounds actually change because of the sounds next to them. A classic example is don't you. Very often, native speakers say something that sounds more like don't you. The T and Y sounds blend and change into a ch sound. You hear a similar thing with get you, often becoming get you. Kylie Minogue's Can't Get You Out of My Head. Listen for that, get you.
Oh, yeah. That one always sounds super fast when native speakers say it. So it's not just my ears playing tricks, the sound actually changes.
Precisely. The sounds literally transform. And the third one for today is reduction, or using weak forms. This happens mostly with small function words, prepositions, articles, auxiliary verbs, words like for, a, can, have. The vowel sound in these words often weakens to a very short neutral sound called a schwa. It's like an sound. So for you isn't usually pronounced for you with a strong o. It's more like for you, shorter, weaker. Listen to Roxette's It Must Have Been Love. That have is almost always reduced to V must have been.
Wow, okay. I can totally hear that now that you pointed out. These are really powerful tools for cracking that fast English code. Feels less mysterious already. Okay, let's dive into a specific song. What can a huge modern pop hit like Taylor Swift's Shake It Off really teach us? I mean, besides just being incredibly catchy.
Oh, Shake It Off is an absolute goldmine for contemporary conversational English. But the context is super important too. You got to remember, this song came out when Taylor Swift was facing intense media focus on her personal life. It was her big statement shifting from country to pop. It was really about her taking control of the story, responding to all the criticism with, humor and just deciding not to care. For you as a learner, knowing that background helps you understand the real punch behind the lyrics.
That's really interesting context. It wasn't just a catchy tune then, it was a deliberate move. Okay, let's break down some phrases. What about that line, player's gonna play, hater's gonna hate? We hear that kind of thing a lot now.
Yeah, that's become a modern proverb, hasn't it? It basically means, look, some people are just going to act negatively. You can't control them, so don't let it get to you. It's a mix of, acceptance and resilience. And the core phrasal verb, shake it off, it means exactly that. Forget bad feelings, recover quickly from something negative, just don't let things bother you. There's actually a cool psychological link. Think about animals literally shaking off stress or water. It's a very physical metaphor.
That's a great image. Okay, and what about this sick beat? I know sick doesn't mean ill here.
Right. Here, sick is slang, popular since maybe the 90s, meaning extremely cool, amazing, awesome. And the song has other examples like fella, just informal for fellow or man, and hella good hair. Hella is very specific West Coast slang for very or a hell of a lot. These bits of slang are fantastic examples for learners. They show you how language changes, how it can place you in a certain time or region. It highlights that fluency isn't just knowing dictionary words, it's understanding style, formality, and these kinds of social codes. Recognizing when something is super informal is key.
And speaking of context, this song, or rather the music video, also stirred up quite a bit of discussion, didn't it? About cultural issues. What can we learn from that as language learners?
Yeah, this brings up a really important layer for language learning. Language isn't just words floating in space. It carries culture, history, and sometimes controversy. The Shake It Off video featured Taylor Swift trying various dance styles, including some like twerking, which are strongly linked to African American culture. This led to accusations of cultural appropriation. So you had the critical view. People, including artists like rapper Earl Sweatshirt, argued the video used elements of black culture just for coolness while ignoring the prejudiced black artists' face. They felt it stereotyped and trivialized meaningful cultural expressions. Then you had the defensive view. The video's director, Mark Romanek, pushed back. He said it was intended as satire, meant to be inclusive, and the joke was really on Taylor's own awkward dancing, not making fun of any culture.
Okay, so two very different takes on the same video. What's the takeaway for someone learning English through this? It's more than just slang, right?
Absolutely. The big takeaway is that true fluency goes beyond just understanding words and grammar. It involves cultural literacy. It means understanding that words, images, even dance moves can carry different meanings and histories for different groups of people. Knowing what to say is only part of it. You also need to develop sensitivity to how your words or actions might be received, considering the cultural context and power dynamics. This case really shows how language is tied up with culture, history, and social issues.
Okay, let's shift gears from the cultural complexities of modern pop. Maybe let's go back to a real classic, a song that uses incredibly simple words but packs such a radical punch. John Lennon's Imagine. What's the story there?
Imagine is a product of its time, definitely. It came out in the early 1970s. Think Vietnam War, Cold War, lots of social upheaval, the counterculture movement really questioning everything. Understanding that backdrop, that climate of conflict and searching for alternatives, helps you see why its message of peace and unity felt so revolutionary, yet also so necessary back then. It was Lennon's offering of hope in a pretty confusing world.
And what always strikes me is how basic the vocabulary is. He uses really simple words to talk about huge philosophical ideas.
That's the genius of it, isn't it? Take imagine there's no heaven, no hell, no countries, no religion. Lenin later clarified he wasn't attacking anyone's beliefs directly. It was more like an invitation to a thought experiment. What if we removed these things that historically have divided people, borders, competing beliefs about the afterlife or God? He kind of framed it as getting rid of the idea that my God is bigger than your God.
And even a simple line like, living for today. It sounds so straightforward, but there's more to it.
There is. In that context, it was a subtle challenge to ideologies, both religious and political, that asked people to sacrifice their present happiness for some future promise, whether it was heaven or a worker's paradise. It emphasized living fully in the here and now, and imagine no possessions. Well, that's a pretty direct critique of materialism and capitalism as sources of conflict and inequality. Lenin himself cheekily called it virtually the Communist Manifesto.
I also heard that Yoko Ono's work was a big inspiration for the whole Imagine concept itself.
That's right. Lenin credited Yoko Ono's 1964 poetry book Grapefruit, which had lines starting with Imagine, as a direct source of inspiration. What Lenin and his co-producer Phil Spector did so brilliantly was to wrap these potentially confronting radical ideas in this incredibly gentle, universally appealing melody. They sugarcoated it, as Lenin said. And that's a huge lesson for communication, right? For English learners, too. Sometimes the most effective way to get a powerful message across isn't with complicated language, but with simple, carefully chosen, emotionally resonant words delivered in the right tone. It's about strategic simplicity.
Okay, let's come back to a more contemporary classic, Ed Sheeran's Thinking Out Loud. How does this song help us understand how to express deep emotions, especially about love that lasts?
Yeah. Thinking Out Loud has a lovely origin story. Apparently, Ed Sheeran wrote it pretty quickly, like in 20 minutes, with his collaborator, Amy Wadge. He was inspired by watching his grandparents together, thinking about his own relationship at the time, and also channeling a bit of Van Morrison's musical style. Just knowing it came from those personal reflections makes the emotions in the song feel much more grounded and relatable, I think.
It definitely adds a layer of warmth, knowing that backstory. The lyrics themselves are just full of these really vivid images and metaphors, aren't they? Like, when your legs don't work like they used to before, and I can't sweep you off of your feet.
That's a great example. It works on two levels. Literally, yes, it's about getting older, physical decline. But sweep you off your feet is a fantastic idiom. It means to make someone fall madly in love with you, to totally charm them. So the lyric cleverly contrasts that physical aging with the hope that the deep emotional connection, the love, will still be there even when youth and maybe passionate gestures fade.
I love how visual it is. Kiss me under the light of 1,000 stars. You can just picture that scene instantly.
Right. That's hyperbole, exaggeration for effect. It creates this incredibly romantic, almost cinematic image. Very powerful. And then there's, because honey, your soul can never grow old. It's evergreen. And that's just a beautiful metaphor. Evergreen, like a tree that stays green all year round, symbolizes something timeless, always vibrant. He's saying the person's inner essence, their soul, transcends physical aging. It's a single word packing so much, meaning life, nature, constancy.
And that line near the end, maybe we found love right where we are.
Yeah, that feels like a really profound, quiet realization in the song. It suggests love isn't some big prize you chase after, but something you find and build in the everyday, shared moments right here, right now. What Sheeran does so well throughout the song is take this big, abstract idea, lifelong love through aging, and make it concrete using sensory details. Legs don't work. Memory fades, hands can't play the strings. It makes the abstract feel tangible. And for you learning English, this is such a great illustration of how native speakers use figurative language, metaphors, idioms, imagery to communicate complex feelings really efficiently and emotionally. Getting comfortable with that is key to deeper understanding.
Okay, so this deep dive has hopefully shown you just how much potential there is in music.
Yeah.
But this is really just the beginning. We want to empower you, listening right now, to really make music your own personal English tutor.
Exactly. The aim here is to help you shift from just passively listening to being an active, independent learner. Think of this section as giving you a compass to navigate that huge ocean of music out there, using your own tastes as your guide.
Right. So we put together a few suggestions to help you build your own learning playlist, maybe thinking about different levels. For beginners, if you're looking for songs that are generally simple and clear, you could try The Carpenters Close to You. Karen Carpenter's pronunciation is famously clear, and the tempo is nice and slow. Or the Beatles' Yesterday, also slow, basic words, simple grammar, and maybe something more modern like Bruno Mars's Just the Way You Are. Pretty straightforward language, positive vibes, and a melody you probably already know.
Good starting points. Then for intermediate learners, maybe you want to focus more on storytelling and common idioms. One Direction's Story of My Life uses a lot of everyday phrases in a narrative style, which is great for conversational English. Daniel Powter's Bad Day, super relatable theme, right? And it's got useful colloquialisms like fake a smile or coffee to go, or even go back to the 90s with Backstreet Boys' I Want It That Way. It's pretty clear pop and uses grammar like relative pronouns and conditionals in a natural way.
And just briefly, for those feeling more ambitious, maybe looking for an advanced challenge.
Well, Bob Dylan's Knockin' on Heaven's Door is a great example. The lyrics seem simple on the surface, but they're packed with deep themes, mortality, fate, lots of metaphors. It's great for pushing your interpretation skills and sparking discussion.
Fantastic suggestions.
Yeah.
And to really make this work for you consistently, there are some great tools and resources out there too, right?
Oh, definitely. These can really help you personalize your learning. Music's Match is brilliant. It often syncs with Spotify or other services and gives you lyrics in real time, often with translations available too. Then there's Genius. That site is amazing because it's not just the lyrics. It has annotations from a whole community explaining background stories, cultural references, slang meanings, really digs deep. And don't overlook Japanese lyrics translation blogs or similar resources in your own language. Sometimes seeing explanations from the perspective of someone who understands your specific learning challenges can be incredibly insightful, especially for cultural nuances. The main point is, with these tools, any song you genuinely love can become a tailor-made English lesson. Hashtag tag tag outro.
So we've covered a lot today. We've seen how music isn't just background noise. It's actually backed by science as a tool for memory. It's like a physical trainer for getting your pronunciation and rhythm right. It's a guide to understanding how native speakers really talk with connected speech. And it's this amazing window into modern slang, idioms, and even those deeper cultural conversations.
Exactly. This deep dive, it's really just a starting point, a way to spark ideas. We really hope it's giving you some practical skills, but maybe more importantly, the confidence and motivation to explore music on your own terms. Use your own interests as that compass we talked about. Turn every listening session into a chance to learn something new.
So here's a final thought to take away. What song is going to be the soundtrack to your English learning journey this week? Go find it, listen closely, sing along, and really try to unlock its secrets. That's all for your daily English dose for today. Until next time, keep learning, keep listening, and definitely keep singing.